What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to Jeb and Flow here on the Street Parking Podcast channel. Sometimes I say that and it's like I'm out of breath already. I want to maybe start a little differently today and just have you close your eyes, and I'll do it too. And take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And do that 2 more times. And just pay attention to the breath. Your belly, your rib cage, your chest expanding and lifting. And then letting it all go. Okay, we're here. So, have you ever noticed, hopefully you have, and I'm not the only person that does this, but I'll sit down if I'm gonna watch something like on Netflix and I'll start looking around and I'll go through all the categories and I'll see something that maybe piques my interest, but then I'm like, well, what else is out there, you know? And I'll keep scrolling around, and then I realize like 15 minutes have gone by and I haven't actually decided on anything to watch. And I ended up just settling for something that's not even that interesting. And certainly when I start it, it's not that entertaining. And I usually don't finish it. And it's kind of exhausting. Please tell me that you know what I'm talking about. And have you ever wondered why, if you call a big business, a big company, or heaven forbid you have to call the IRS, or you call a utility company, your phone company, right? And they go, press 1 for English, or, enter your phone number, say your password, what's your date of birth, what's your mother's maiden name? Are you calling about this? Are you calling about that? And you have to hit all of these different buttons and maybe speak into the phone and say these different things. And then you finally get somebody on the line and they ask you every single one of those same questions that you just had to answer on your way to getting a real human on the phone. Why is that? Or if you've ever bought a car from a dealership and you spend all this time looking at the different cars and the guy's telling you all the different options, or not necessarily the guy, could be the lady, but you're learning all the different options, you're picking out which car you like, and then you decide on one. And then you talk with him, you fill out a little bit of paperwork, and then he's like, okay, we're going to take you into the back to talk with our finance manager. Even if you've got your own finance situation set up, and you go back there and then they're like, hey, have you thought about the extended warranty? Have you thought about this clear coat protection? What about the upgrade to the limited package? And all of this stuff. And by the end of it, you're just so exhausted, you're probably willing to just say yes to anything so you can get the heck out of there. I was also reading an article recently that's somewhat related on a more somber note, but they did a study on parole hearings. And they found that the chances of a prisoner getting paroled, regardless of race or crime or sentence, the chances of someone getting paroled was like 60 to 70% in the morning or after a break or after lunch. And like at the end of the day, people whose parole hearings were at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, their chances of getting paroled were closer to 10 to 20%. That's crazy. And they found that to be evidence of something called decision fatigue. So I've been thinking a lot about that. When you make decisions, it requires energy, right? Your brain runs on glucose, and you make all these decisions throughout the day, and it burns up that glucose. And it also creates something called ego depletion. Ego in the literal sense, not the sense that a lot of us like to throw around. Like, there is some benefit to ego. It has to do with willpower and being able to make hopefully smarter decisions. So that can get depleted. The word decide, I believe it's Latin, but it comes from another word which means to kill or to cut down, cut out. So you have decisions and incisions and precision. It has to do with the root of to cut. So think about that action. Like, to cut something that requires action. It requires you to do something. We live in a time where we have to make more decisions in our day than ever before. If you're alive right now in 2020, you are making decisions constantly as far as what you're going to look at, who shows up on your social media, what you decide you feel about that, what headlines you're paying attention to. There's ads everywhere in every single news article, in every single news feed. Now we're getting text messages of people, who knows how they get our numbers, and they're trying to sell us stuff. We're constantly being bombarded with stuff that we have to then make decisions on. And it's very, very exhausting. It's mentally exhausting because it requires physical energy. Your brain, I believe, uses something like 15% of your energy. Think about your body and think about how much your brain weighs compared to the rest of your body. Like, that is a insanely energy expending processor that we have. It's crazy. And our brains, they have to make all these decisions and calculations, and they usually do a really good job and they do great work. It makes sense that they would require that much energy, but we need to protect that. And there's certain actions that we can take to allow our brains to become more energy efficient, or to use less energy by reducing the amount of decisions that we have to make throughout the day, so that when we do need to make a choice and we do need to decide on something, we can make a better decision. Our willpower is more intact. And if we can reduce the number of decisions, another way to look at that is through building habits. If you have a habit, then you don't even really have to decide on whether or not you're going to do that thing. It's just something that you do. It's something that you've planned to do, you've made time to do, and you just do it. So this is why meal prep, making a shopping list, to-do lists are effective. This is also why candy bars are in the checkout line. If you've gone through the entire supermarket and you hopefully are staying around the perimeter, but if you go through the aisles, like, you're looking at all these brightly colored products and packaging that's designed to catch your eye and jump off the shelf relative to the other products that are there. And you've made all these decisions as far as what you're going to buy and what you're not going to buy. And if you're on a budget, if you're on a tight budget, then you even have to really start factoring in cost and weighing out, well, am I going to get this or am I going to get that? So by the time you get to the checkout aisle, you're exhausted. Your glucose levels have dropped. What is there? Quick little hits of sugar. So your body almost has no resistance to this thing that's going to bump your glucose back up. You're going to burn it out super quickly, and it's not healthy for you, but it does the trick of bringing your brain kind of back online temporarily. They're there for a very specific reason. All of those questions and buttons that you have to hit on the customer service line are there for a reason, so that by the time you get to a person, you're exhausted. You're willing to accept a lot more than if you were to call and somebody picked up immediately. Those things are designed specifically to give you the runaround. There's a reason why they take you in that back room when you buy a car. They wear you down. It's also probably a reason why you get a lot of false confessions. People just get exhausted and they're willing to admit to anything, accept anything. So it's something that you really should be vigilant about and be aware of, be on the lookout for. Decision fatigue can also increase your cortisol levels, which leads to stress and anxiety, and it can even decrease your physical health or decrease your progress towards better health. So how can we do this? Set yourself up for making less decisions. That is the action item for this week, is to make less decisions. So there's a number of ways you can do this, but I would start here. Take an hour to plan out your week. Now, if you're listening to this in the middle of the week, cool. Start planning from tomorrow until a week from tomorrow. Or start planning your Monday for next Monday and plan the next week ahead. And you don't have to plan everything minute by minute, but maybe take like one or two things that you want to plan, or that you want to basically take off the table when it comes to having to decide whether or not you're going to do it, or whether you're going to choose that thing versus another thing the moment that it may happen. So take that decision off the table in the moment by making the decision ahead of time. And maybe it's your workouts, maybe it's reading a book, scheduling time that you're going to read or learn a new skill. But treat it like you got a hot date. Treat it like it's a court date. Like you cannot miss this thing. You got to show up for yourself. If you struggle with making your workouts, reach out to somebody. It doesn't even have to be in person. You can do it over Zoom, or you can just say, hey, we're going to work out at the same time. And if you're a Street Parking member, you can go into the Facebook group and you can put up a post that says, hey, I need somebody to hold me accountable this week. Anybody down to work out at the same time, and we can text each other or message each other afterwards to say that we did it. And if you know that somebody else is expecting you to show up, that takes away a lot of the decision making when the time comes where you might be tempted to not do the thing. So, there's a couple of other things, a couple of ways that you can look at it, right? You could either plan these recurring things like working out, reading, learning a new skill, that sort of thing. Or you could do one thing that takes care of all of the decisions later, like meal prep. If you take 2 hours on a Sunday or whatever day of the week, and you prepare a week's worth of meals, and you've got it in your fridge, when you get hungry and you're tired and you've probably been working and maybe you even already have a little bit of decision fatigue, you can just go to the fridge. What's in there? The stuff that you prepared. It's good. It's healthy. You're not going to call out for some other food. You're not going to go for some junk food. You're going to eat what's right there. The decision has already been made for you. So that's what it is. Decision fatigue. Do your best this week to try to make less decisions. And notice how much more energy you might have. Notice how much more positive that energy might be when you can redirect it towards good, productive, constructive things rather than, oh man, am I going to do this or am I going to do that, and just get drained by a bunch of mundane stuff. Control the information that goes into your brain. Control the information and the things that you look at, see, touch, hear, and feel. That's all I got for you this week. I can't wait to hear what you come up with. Please share it with me. I love you. I'll talk to you soon.